Imagine standing in the middle of a battlefield. The air is tense, heavy with the anticipation of war. But instead of swords clashing and warriors charging, there is only silence. No battle cries, no sounds of struggle, just an unshakable presence that dominates everything around it. Now ask yourself, who is truly in control? For centuries, we have been conditioned to believe that power belongs to those who are loudest, those who fight the hardest, those who strike first and strike last. We glorify conflict, retaliation, and the idea that we must defend ourselves at all costs. But history tells us a different story. The greatest leaders, the wisest sages, and the most formidable warriors knew one profound truth. Silence is the deadliest weapon of all. Have you ever wondered why the most dangerous creatures in nature are often the quietest? The snake that strikes without a warning, the tiger that hunts without a sound, the deep ocean that drowns without a ripple. All of them possess a lethal, unseen power. They do not roar, they do not chase, they do not seek validation. They simply exist, and their presence alone demands respect. This is the way of the Zen master, the path of wisdom, the strategy of those who understand the true nature of power. Think about your own life. Have you ever felt betrayed, attacked, or misunderstood? Have you ever wasted your energy arguing with people who refuse to understand you, trying to prove your worth to those who don't deserve it, or seeking revenge on those who have wronged you? The truth is, not every battle is meant to be fought. Sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is refuse to engage. Sometimes, the most powerful response is no response at all. Today, we will explore four silent but deadly ways to overcome your enemies without ever lifting a finger. These are not just abstract ideas. These are timeless principles used by emperors, monks, philosophers, and even modern leaders. If you have ever struggled with conflict, whether in your relationships, your workplace, or even within yourself, then this lesson is for you. And I promise you this, by the end of this video, you will see power in a way you never have before. Before we begin, if you find wisdom in these teachings, if you seek a life of peace, mastery, and quiet strength, then join us here on Zen Mind Journey. Subscribe now for more insights on Zen philosophy, self-mastery, and the wisdom of the ages. Like this video if you believe in the power of silence and strategy over chaos and noise. Comment below. Have you ever experienced a moment where silence won you a battle? I'd love to hear your story. Now let's begin. The path to silent victory awaits. Lesson 1. The Art of Disappearance. Power in absence. In a modern world, where confrontation and engagement are often seen as measures of strength, the idea that absence can be more powerful than presence seems counterintuitive. Society teaches us to fight back, to defend our position, and to prove ourselves in the face of opposition. But Zen philosophy offers a completely different approach, the art of disappearance, the ability to step away from conflict rather than engage in it. This concept is rooted in a profound understanding of human nature. Conflict feeds on reaction. When we respond to hostility with hostility, we sustain the very energy that fuels it. However, when we remove ourselves from the equation, the conflict loses its foundation. This is not cowardice, it's strategy. It is the wisdom of knowing that true power is not in domination, but in denying an enemy the fight they crave. Perhaps one of the best real-world examples of this philosophy is the legendary samurai Miyamoto Musashi. Musashi was known for his unmatched skills in combat, yet one of his most famous victories occurred without a single swing of his sword. Musashi was challenged to a duel by Sasaki Kojiro, a highly skilled and formidable samurai. The duel was scheduled for sunrise, but Musashi did something unexpected. He arrived hours late. By the time Musashi finally showed up, Kojiro was seething with rage. He had been waiting under the scorching sun, filled with frustration, his patience long gone. His emotions had completely taken control of him. Musashi, on the other hand, walked in calmly, unaffected by his opponent's fury. In that moment, Kojiro had already lost the fight. His anger clouded his judgment, weakened his discipline, and made him vulnerable. With a single decisive move, Musashi struck and defeated Kojiro instantly. This is the power of absence, removing yourself from conflict until your enemy has exhausted themselves. By denying his opponent the expected fight, Musashi forced Kojiro to defeat himself. In our daily lives, we may not be fighting literal duels, but we constantly face conflicts, toxic relationships, workplace rivalries, manipulative people, and unnecessary arguments. The Art of Disappearance teaches us that sometimes the best response is no response at all. 1. Walking away from unnecessary arguments. Many people feel the need to defend themselves in every situation, whether in a personal conflict, a workplace dispute, or an online debate. But ask yourself, is the argument worth your energy? When you engage with someone who thrives on conflict, you're feeding their desire for power over you. They want a reaction. They want to see you flustered, angry, or defensive. The moment you refuse to engage, you deny them that power. Consider this. If someone spreads false rumors about you, should you waste your time chasing after every lie, trying to correct people's perceptions? Or should you simply continue living well, letting your actions speak louder than their words? The truth has a way of revealing itself over time. And in many cases, your silence will expose your enemy's dishonesty far more effectively than any argument ever could. 2. Removing yourself from toxic environments. Toxic workplaces, dysfunctional relationships, and negative social circles are breeding grounds for conflict. Many people stay in these environments because they feel obligated to fight for their place or to change those around them. But Zen wisdom teaches us that you cannot control others. You can only control yourself. If an environment is draining you, if it constantly pulls you into negativity and stress, the most powerful move is to step away. Absence is not weakness, it is self-preservation. If your workplace is filled with politics and manipulation, consider shifting your energy toward a healthier environment. If a friend or family member continuously brings drama into your life, reducing your interactions with them will weaken their influence over you. If social media arguments consume your time and energy, stepping away will free your mind from unnecessary negativity. When you remove yourself from toxic environments, you are not running away, you are reclaiming your peace. 3. Letting go of people who thrive on drama. There are people in life who feed on negativity. They create chaos, spread rumors, and manipulate situations to draw others into conflict. These individuals survive on attention, and the more you engage with them, the stronger they become. But what happens when you ignore them completely? The moment you stop reacting, they lose their power. They may try harder to provoke you at first, but eventually, without your energy fueling them, they will self-destruct. Think of it like a fire. If you stop feeding it, it will eventually burn out. Here's a practical approach. If someone insults you, do not respond. Let their words dissolve into silence. If someone spreads negativity, do not engage. Let them battle themselves. If someone tries to pull you into drama, detach completely. They will tire themselves out without your participation. When you master the art of disappearance, you control the battlefield by refusing to fight. At first, disappearance may seem passive. People might say, you're avoiding conflict or you're letting them win. But in reality, walking away is the most strategic move you can make. It conserves your energy for things that truly matter. It shifts the burden of conflict onto your enemy. It allows you to maintain peace while others destroy themselves. When you disengage from conflict, you take away your enemy's ability to harm you. They are left fighting shadows, growing restless, and eventually defeating themselves. This is why Zen masters, wise rulers, and even modern leaders use this strategy. Not because they are weak, but because they understand true power. The next time you find yourself in a situation where someone is provoking you, attacking you, or trying to pull you into unnecessary conflict, ask yourself, is this battle necessary? Will engaging bring me peace or more chaos? What happens if I simply walk away? In most cases, your silence, your absence, and your refusal to participate will be your strongest weapon. Remember this, A battle that never begins is a battle that is already won. Master the art of disappearance, and you will never waste another moment on people or situations that do not deserve your energy. Lesson 2. The strength of unshakable silence. Let their words destroy them. In a world where people fight to be heard, where arguments dominate conversations, and where social validation is a driving force, silence is often misunderstood. Many see it as a sign of weakness, of submission, or of an inability to defend oneself. But true power often lies in restraint. Silence is not passive, it is strategic. It is the ability to control a situation without direct confrontation, to let time and circumstances work in your favor. When people attack you, insult you, or spread lies about you, your instinct may be to fight back, to explain yourself, or to clear your name. But the more you engage, the more fuel you add to the fire. There's an old Zen proverb that states, "A wise man once said nothing." This is not because he had nothing to say, but because he understood that silence often speaks louder than words. One of the most profound Buddhist teachings on silence comes from the story of Buddha and the insulting man. One day, a man approached the Buddha full of anger. He shouted, cursed, and hurled insults, trying to provoke a reaction. Yet, the Buddha simply sat there, unmoved, not responding to the man's words. After a while, the man became frustrated and demanded, "Why won't you respond?" The Buddha, smiling, replied, "If someone offers you a gift, but you do not accept it, to whom does the gift belong?" The man, confused, answered, "To the giver." The Buddha nodded and said, "Then I do not accept your anger, and it remains yours." This simple yet powerful lesson illustrates the essence of unshakable silence. By refusing to engage in negativity, you leave the burden of hatred on the person who carries it. This principle applies to all aspects of life, whether it is personal conflicts, workplace drama, or social media debates. The more you engage, the more you validate your opponent's words. But when you stay silent, you force them to confront their own negativity without dragging yourself into it. Wise silence destroys your enemies. When someone insults or attacks you, they expect a reaction. They want to control your emotions, manipulate your energy, and provoke you into engaging in conflict. But when you refuse to respond, something remarkable happens. 1. Their words lose power. A fire dies when it is not fed. Arguments, rumors, and insults are fueled by attention. The moment you withdraw, they begin to fade. 2. They expose themselves. The more they speak, the more obvious it becomes that their hatred is one-sided. People begin to see their bitterness, jealousy, or insecurity for what it is. 3. You maintain control. Engaging in unnecessary conflict means playing by someone else's rules. Silence forces them to play by yours. History, philosophy, and even modern psychology confirm this principle. The person who speaks the least often holds the most power. How you can apply this in everyday life. 1. Do not justify yourself to those who do not care about the truth. In life, there will always be people who misunderstand you, judge you, or twist your words. Trying to explain yourself to those who are committed to misunderstanding you is a waste of time. People believe what they want to believe. If they're looking for a reason to dislike you, they will find one, whether it is real or not. Instead of defending yourself, let your actions speak. Over time, the truth will reveal itself without you needing to say a word. The best response to lies is not counter-arguments, but undeniable proof through your own life. 2. Never argue with a fool. There's an old saying, never argue with a fool. Onlookers may not be able to tell the difference. Fools thrive on argument. They do not debate to seek truth. They debate to win at any cost. They will twist your words, manipulate conversations, and drag you into a cycle of endless conflict. The more you argue, the more you validate their nonsense. Instead, let them talk. The longer they go on, the more their foolishness becomes evident to everyone around them. If you must respond, do it with calm and brevity, or better yet, say nothing at all. Silence forces a fool to argue with themselves. 3. Silence is a mirror. it forces people to confront their own negativity. Most people never take the time to reflect on their own behavior. They project their emotions onto others, blaming them for their own problems. When you argue back, you give them a scapegoat. But when you remain silent, they're left with nothing but their own thoughts. Over time, they will either self-destruct or be forced to change. Have you ever noticed that people who constantly attack others often seem miserable themselves? This is because their negativity is not really about you. It is about them. The best way to defeat them is to let them fight their own battles. 1. The political genius of Abraham Lincoln. Lincoln was known for his ability to stay silent in the face of criticism. He believed that not every insult required a response, and that time would prove his character. His silence often frustrated his enemies, forcing them to expose their own flaws through their words and actions. 2. Corporate leaders and the power of restraint. Many successful CEOs and leaders practice deliberate silence in business negotiations. By refusing to over-explain or argue, they allow the other party to reveal their weaknesses first. This simple strategy has led to some of the most powerful business deals in history. 3. Social media and the strength of ignoring haters. Celebrities, influencers, and public figures are often attacked online. Those who engage in every controversy often find themselves trapped in never-ending drama. Meanwhile, those who ignore the noise allow their success to speak for itself. The lesson? Silence wins in every arena. Final thoughts. Mastering the strength of silence. Many people believe that being loud, reactive, and argumentative is a sign of power. But in reality, true strength comes from self-control, emotional discipline, and the ability to remain unfazed by negativity. Silence is not submission, it is domination. It disarms your enemies without you lifting a finger. It exposes the truth without you saying a word. It protects your peace while others destroy themselves. The next time someone tries to provoke you, remember Buddha's lesson. If you do not accept their negativity, it remains theirs to carry. Master this principle, and you will never waste energy on meaningless battles again. Lesson 3. The power of indifference. Nothing disarms an enemy more. In conflict, power is not just about strength, it's about control. The person who controls the emotional dynamic is the one who holds the real power. Yet, many people give this power away freely by reacting. Enemies thrive on control. They want to manipulate your emotions, provoke anger, and force you into reactive decisions. But what happens when you refuse to give them what they want? The answer is simple. They lose all power over you. Indifference is not apathy. It's not about becoming numb to life or pretending not to care about anything. Instead, it is strategic detachment, the ability to separate yourself emotionally from people and situations that do not serve you. This is why indifference is one of the greatest weapons you can wield. Nothing frustrates an enemy more than realizing they hold no influence over you. Few leaders in history embodied the power of indifference better than Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher. As one of the most powerful men in the world, he was constantly surrounded by political enemies, senators who plotted against him, rival factions seeking to overthrow him, and critics who attacked his character. But instead of responding with anger or vengeance, he practiced complete emotional detachment. In his personal writings, later published as Meditations, he wrote, "If someone insults you, ask yourself, do their words change who I am? This is the essence of indifference. If an insult does not change your character, why give it power? If a lie does not affect reality, why waste energy fighting it? If betrayal does not define your future, why hold on to it?" Marcus Aurelius refused to let external forces dictate his peace. By remaining indifferent to insults, rumors, and betrayal, he rendered his enemies powerless. This is the key to emotional mastery. Your enemy's words only have power if you allow them to affect you. Why indifference destroys your enemies? Indifference is a psychological weapon. It frustrates, confuses, and ultimately neutralizes those who try to harm you. Here's why. 1. It deprives them of emotional fuel. Most conflicts thrive on reaction. When someone attacks you, They expect anger, sadness, or fear. If you respond emotionally, you feed their power. But when you remain indifferent, their attack becomes meaningless. 2. It forces them to confront their own insignificance. Enemies want validation. They want to know they have an impact on you. When you ignore them, they begin to question their own relevance. They are left with nothing but their own emptiness. 3. It puts you in control. Reacting means playing by their rules. Indifference means forcing them to play by yours. The one who controls the emotional battlefield always wins. A wise person once said, "You only lose when you let someone else decide how you feel." By choosing indifference, you reclaim your personal power. How to apply the power of indifference in everyday life. 1. When someone insults you, respond with a smile. Most people expect anger, defensiveness, or retaliation when they insult you. They feed off your reaction. But what if, instead of reacting, you simply smiled and walked away? Nothing frustrates an attacker more than being ignored. They crave attention. When you deny it, they become powerless. A smile says, "Your words do not affect me." This is why the greatest warriors, from ancient samurais to modern leaders, practice emotional detachment. They know that true power comes from never giving enemies what they want. 2. Let go of past betrayals. Holding on gives them power. Many people carry resentment and anger toward those who have wronged them. But holding on to that anger keeps you emotionally chained to your enemies. The more you dwell on betrayal, the more power you give to those who hurt you. But the moment you let go, they lose all control over you. True victory is not revenge. It is living so well that they no longer matter. There is a saying, forgiveness is not for them, it is for you. Let go, and you set yourself free. 3. Live as if they do not exist. The ultimate act of power is to live as if your enemies do not exist. The moment you stop acknowledging them, they become irrelevant. When they see that their words, actions, or attempts to hurt you have no effect, they fade into nothingness. This is the ultimate defeat, not because you fought, but because you refused to fight. This is why the greatest revenge is success. Instead of focusing on enemies, focus on self-mastery, growth, and building the life you want. When you do this, their efforts to harm you become meaningless. Real-life examples of the power of indifference. 1. The silent power of Mahatma Gandhi. Gandhi was one of the greatest leaders in history, not because of his physical strength, but because of his unshakable emotional discipline. He faced imprisonment, oppression, and violent opposition, but he refused to meet hatred with hatred. His nonviolent resistance was the ultimate act of indifference. He would not allow his enemies to control his emotions or dictate his actions. In the end, he won not by fighting, but by refusing to be affected by his enemies' tactics. 2. The quiet strength of Rosa Parks. Rosa Parks' defiance was a perfect example of controlled indifference. When she refused to give up her seat on the bus, she did not shout, argue, or fight. She simply remained seated, showing that she would not be moved. This quiet act of defiance was far more powerful than any argument could have been. Indifference, when used correctly, shakes the foundations of those who seek control. If you take away one lesson from this, let it be this: your enemy only exists as long as you acknowledge them. The moment you stop reacting, stop caring, and stop engaging, they lose all control over you. This is the ultimate power. Indifference is not weakness. It is a strategy. It is the refusal to let others dictate your emotions. It is the silent, unstoppable force that makes you untouchable. Master this, and you will never be controlled by another person again. Lesson 4. The quiet rise to greatness. Success is the ultimate revenge. There is an undeniable truth about life. The people who waste their energy tearing others down never rise, while those who focus on growth become unstoppable. Many believe that the way to defeat an enemy is through retaliation, proving them wrong, or seeking revenge. But history, psychology, and experience all reveal a different path. Success is the ultimate revenge. A wise saying goes, "A tiger does not lose sleep over the opinion of sheep." This means that greatness does not concern itself with petty battles. The truly powerful do not waste time responding to every insult, addressing every critic, or seeking vengeance against those who doubt them. Instead, they rise so high that their enemies become irrelevant. Few figures in history embody this principle better than Nelson Mandela. After spending 27 years in prison under South Africa's brutal apartheid system, he had every reason to seek revenge on those who had oppressed him. He had been wrongfully imprisoned. He had suffered isolation and injustice. He had lost nearly 3 decades of his life behind bars. But when he was finally released, instead of wasting his energy on retaliation, he made a radical decision. He chose growth over vengeance. Rather than using his newfound freedom to punish his enemies, he focused on becoming a leader, healing a nation, and rising beyond hatred. His decision to elevate himself rather than attack his enemies changed history. Resentment is like drinking poison and then hoping it will kill your enemies. Nelson Mandela, by choosing forgiveness, leadership, and self-mastery, he transformed enemies into allies and became a global symbol of resilience and peace. This is the essence of true power. Success is not about proving your enemies wrong. It's about becoming so great that they no longer matter. Why success is the most powerful form of revenge. When someone tries to bring you down, they want to see you angry, broken, and stuck in the same battles as them. But the moment you shift your focus to personal growth, you remove yourself from their reach. 1. Enemies expect a reaction. Do not give them one. When someone attacks you, they expect you to waste energy fighting back. They want you to be distracted, consumed by emotions, and focused on them. But when you ignore their negativity and focus on building your future, you take away their power. 2. Your growth makes their efforts meaningless. The more you improve yourself, the less their attacks matter. The higher you rise, the more ridiculous their attempts to bring you down appear. Eventually, they become invisible to you, and you become untouchable to them. 3. Your success is their greatest defeat. Nothing is more painful for an enemy than seeing you thrive despite their efforts to hold you back. When they see that you are happy, successful, and at peace, they realize that they never had power over you in the first place. The greatest revenge is not proving them wrong. It's living in such a way that their existence no longer concerns you. How to apply this mindset in everyday life. 1. Stop trying to prove yourself to others. Many people waste years trying to convince others of their worth. They seek validation from those who doubt them. They argue with critics, trying to change opinions. They exhaust themselves proving that they are good enough, smart enough, or worthy enough. But the truth is, you owe no one an explanation for your success. Do not waste energy trying to convince small minds of your greatness. Do not lower yourself to fight unnecessary battles. Instead, focus on growth. Let your actions prove what your words never could. 2. Outgrow those who try to bring you down. There will always be people who try to pull you into negativity. Some will try to undermine your confidence. Others will spread lies, gossip, or rumors. Some will even try to sabotage your progress. But instead of engaging in their drama, rise above it. Outgrow toxic relationships. Outgrow negative environments. Outgrow the mindset that keeps you trapped in conflict. Growth is the one thing your enemies cannot control. The more you invest in yourself, the less their opinions matter. 3. Let success speak for itself. The loudest response to criticism is not words, it's results. When people doubt you, keep working. When they insult you, keep improving. When they try to stop you, keep rising. Over time, your success will silence them far more effectively than any argument ever could. There's a reason why some of the most powerful people in the world do not engage in petty conflicts. They understand that true power lies in moving forward, not looking back. Real-life examples of success as the ultimate revenge. 1. Oprah Winfrey, turning pain into power. As a child, Oprah faced poverty, abuse, and rejection. Many people doubted her abilities. She was fired from her first TV job, told she was not fit for television. She faced countless critics and obstacles. But instead of fighting her doubters, she focused on building herself up. She became one of the most influential women in history. She built an empire based on growth, wisdom, and resilience. And today, those who once doubted her are irrelevant. This is the power of quiet success. She did not destroy her critics. She simply outgrew them. 2. Michael Jordan, using doubt as fuel. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. His coaches doubted his talent. He could have argued, complained, or quit. Instead, he trained harder than ever. Years later, he became one of the greatest athletes of all time. His critics were silenced, not because he responded to them, but because he proved them irrelevant. He didn't waste energy on revenge. He used it to build his legacy. If you remember one thing, let it be this. The greatest way to defeat your enemies is to make them irrelevant. The moment you stop fighting, explaining, and reacting, and start building, growing, and succeeding, you rise beyond their reach. Do not waste your time on battles that do not serve your future. Do not lower yourself to fight with those beneath you. Do not let anger and resentment keep you from reaching your full potential. Success is the quietest and most devastating revenge. Because when you're too busy winning at life, your enemies are no longer even worth noticing. If there's one thing to remember from this journey, it's this. Your greatest enemy is not them. It is the illusion that they have power over you. How many battles in your life have been fueled by the need to prove yourself? How many nights have you lost sleep over someone's words, someone's betrayal, or someone's attempts to bring you down? Now, ask yourself, was it worth your energy? The truth is, real strength doesn't come from proving others wrong. It comes from becoming so strong, so untouchable, that their opinions no longer matter. When you reach this level of detachment, you don't need to seek revenge. You don't need validation. You don't need to fight. You simply rise. The silent path is the ultimate power. Many mistake silence for weakness, but in reality, it is the highest form of control. When you refuse to react, you control the battlefield. When you detach from negativity, you become unshakable. When you walk away from unnecessary conflict, you preserve your peace and energy. This is why the Zen masters, the great warriors, and the wisest leaders throughout history have understood one thing. The strongest move is often the one that is never made. Your greatest battles are not against the world. They are within you. Master yourself, and you master everything. What does this mean for you? As you reflect on everything we've explored, take a moment to ask yourself, where have I been giving my energy to things that do not serve me? Who in my life do I need to let go of? Not through anger, but through indifference. How can I shift my focus away from battles and toward personal growth? These are not just philosophical questions. They're the keys to true power. The moment you stop letting others dictate your emotions, you set yourself free. That is the silent victory. If this message resonated with you, I invite you to continue walking this path with me. Zen wisdom is not just something you learn, it is something you live. If you believe in the power of inner peace over chaos, give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to Zen Mind Journey to continue learning how to cultivate wisdom, detachment, and self-mastery. I want to hear from you. Which of these lessons resonated with you the most? Let me know in the comments below. Remember, you're not here to fight meaningless battles. You are here to rise beyond them. Until next time, walk the path of wisdom and rise beyond reach.